Continuing the Maimer Nosata Liriaich Neislis Noises that the Rebbe said on Yud Beis Tammuz Tavshin Yud Aleph 1951. In the Maimer, the Rebbe is talking about the difference between the Avodah of Nisyonos, of tests, and the Avodah of Birurim, of elevating and refining the world. In order to explain this further, and specifically what the Rebbe explains, that in order to understand the difference between them, we have to understand that both the Avodah of Nisyonos and the Avodah of Birurim involve three aspects. There's the object that is being refined and elevated. There's the person who's doing the work. And there is the way, the Avodah, the thing, the work that he's doing. What is this all about? The purpose and mission and goal of a person in this world is that the neshama came down here in order to elevate and refine the physical and material world. And the reason is in order to bring about a dira batachtainim, a dwelling place for Hashem down here, which means that we're in a world that covers up on the reality of godliness, on the reality of what it really is, that it was created by Hashem and is constantly created by Hashem, and therefore its entire existence is that spark of godliness that creates it. And the person's mission is to change and transform that and reveal the truth to bring about the time of Mashiach, when v'nigla k'vayid havaya, the glory of Hashem will be revealed. V'ro chol basar yachtav kifi Hashem diber, and all flesh will see together that the mouth of Hashem spoke, meaning that the flesh, the physical flesh of the world, will have the ability to see with their own eyes, so to speak, the words of Hashem that are creating it constantly. That's what the ultimate and the epitome of what we're working towards, which is the time of Mashiach, when it's all revealed, when it's all recognizable, when we don't see a covering, when we don't see the concealment, but rather we see the reality of what it's all about. Galus is concealment, Geula is revealing the truth. And like the words of the Pasuk, your eyes will be able to see your teacher, meaning Hashem, that is in reality here in this world. Our eyes can't see him, our eyes will be able to see him and to see how everything is godliness. How do we go about this mission? So let's start with Avodah Sabirurim, the Avodah of refining and elevating the world. There's an object. The object is covered over. Its existence is a covering. Its existence covers on the reality of what it is, the godly spark that's in it. A person, because he's a chelek aloi kamimal mamish, a Jew who's part of Hashem, whose neshama is one with the true reality of Hashem, has the ability to reveal in this worldly existence its true existence of godliness. How does the person go about it? The Zohar tells us, Shas Tzloisa Shas Krava. The time of davening, the time when we daven in the morning, is a time of war. Now, even though in general, the Avodah of Birurim, the war, which is the fight against the negativity and the darkness, the fight to bring out, to reveal that godly spark, is done at the time when a person eats and drinks. And as the Zohar says as well, Nahama apum charba lechol, when a person eats bread, he has to eat it by the mouth of the sword, meaning that it's a war. Eating and drinking is a war that a person is fighting with himself and with the object to realize and recognize the truth of godliness. There's two aspects to the fight. Aspect number one is the person is fighting with themselves. Don't follow your natural inclination, which is to eat simply because of the physical desire that pushes the person to want to eat. Don't follow the natural instinct to eat in an animalistic type of pleasurable way, but rather realize and connect the truth of what you really are before you're going to eat. Then there's the second aspect of it, which is deal with the object. There's a food, make a bracha, reveal in it was created by Hashem, and eat it in a way where you're realizing that it really belongs to Hashem. And similarly, don't eat something which Hashem doesn't want you to eat. And it's similarly, eating is the general concept of birurim, but the truth is it's in everything in the world. It's when we walk, when we do business, whatever we do in the world, a person, first of all, has to, in their own selves, recognize the truth of Hashem, the truth and the reality of my neshama, of my soul, of who I really am, and then recognize and show and reveal within the world its existence and what its existence is all about. That's the war that a person is constantly fighting. The war between the cover, the concealment, the false or hidden existence where Hashem's truth is hidden, and the real true existence of godliness that's within everything. However, in order to be able to win that war, we first need davening. Shas loisa, shas krava. We need, in the morning, when we wake up, to daven to Hashem. What happens when a person davens to Hashem? It's not just praying. It's not just asking Hashem for things. It's the person connecting. The word tefillah comes from the word connecting. Connect to my true, real source. Recognize in myself, my soul, my godly soul. Fight with the concealment of the nefesh habamis, of the animal soul that tries to make me not see my godly soul, and instead connect to the reality. Daven to Hashem, think about in davening, because davening is avodah shebalev. It's not just words speaking. Speaking the words helps reveal it, but it has to be connected with a kavanah, with an intent, with thinking and contemplating and recognizing the greatness of Hashem. And that's why there's preparations before davening. Before a person goes to daven, there's the three main preparations, which are mikvah, chassidus, and tzedakah. Men, before they daven, they go to the mikvah, they dip in the mikvah, which the idea of dipping in the mikvah is to become totally enveloped in the water, to lose that false identity, that coarse identity of materialism, and to be able to connect to a real identity. Give tzedakah is giving away from the hard work that I worked something to someone else, or giving away what I could have used to buy food for myself or to buy my own needs. Give that away to another person, and in that way submitting myself to Hashem. And learning chassidus is connecting to the soul of the world, to the soul of the creation, recognizing the energy, the deeper energy, not to see just things for what they seem to be, but to see what things really are. After these three preparations, then I can stand with a siddur, and I can talk to Hashem. When I talk to Hashem, I'm recognizing Hashem's reality, Hashem's existence. And Psukei de Zimra, which is in the first tefillah in Shachris, in the morning when a person davens, he has the whole Psukei de Zimra where he's contemplating the greatness of Hashem. But Psukei de Zimra talks about the greatness of Hashem within the creation, within the world, recognizing the vast power of Hashem in the physical world. And going further even to the brachas of Krishma, where we talk about the malachim, the angels, how they praise Hashem, but we know that the angels are the root of our animal soul. So we're actually understanding the animal soul from its root, that the source of it is totally submitted and given over to Hashem. and therefore causing us to also submit ourselves to Hashem. Shema Yisrael, Hashem is one, and then Shemoneh Esrei, where I'm going face to face with Hashem. All of this avodah of davening, not just saying the words, but actually working on it a little bit every day, through making the preparations properly, even if it means a few minutes of learning Chassidus, through making the preparations properly for davening, and then using the time of davening, even if it's a small part of it, to actually recognize what I'm really doing, that weakens a little bit that cover, the crust of the animal soul, and it weakens the entire crust of the world around me, because a person is actually a balabas. A person is, so to speak, an owner over his own part of the world, and therefore through his davening he weakens the cover of his own animal soul, but as well as also the klippa, the shell, the cover up in the world around him. Now once he davened, he's able to approach the avodah of birurim, of dealing with the world. Before he davened, before he had the war of davening, the war within himself, he's not able to approach the world. That's the reason why a person is not supposed to eat or do their needs. Chassidim eat before davening in order to have strength to daven. But it's not the eating in order to eat breakfast. It's eating to have strength for davening. But the regular eating that a person eats, the other needs of a person that a person does throughout the day, including even learning Torah. And the same concept, we learn Chassidus before davening, but that's not a learning for the sake of learning, that's a learning for the sake of davening. The main learning Torah is also after davening, because it's only once the person weakened the animal soul, the cover, that the person is able to deal with the avodah sabirurim, with refining the world. Now the person did this. He made this preparation. How does a person now go and actually deal with the avodah sabirurim? What is this avodah sabirurim? The avodah sabirurim is take an object. There is the reality of the object, and there is the cover-up of the object. The reality of the object is that there's a godly spark that sustains it. That is its true existence, what Hashem wants, the will of Hashem. The cover-up is that it's as if it's there in order because it exists, just because it exists. And therefore when a person takes it and uses it just because, he's dealing with the cover-up of the object. When a person takes it and makes a bracha, recognizing Hashem, and uses it in order to serve Hashem, and doesn't do that which is against Hashem's will, or that which is not for the sake of serving Hashem, then he's actually revealing how its existence is godliness, and in that way preparing it for the time of Mashiach, when the cover is taken away and we can see what we've been doing all along. It's when Mashiach comes, the schar mitzvah is mitzvah. The reward for the mitzvah is the mitzvah alone. It's not a separate reward. It's that everything we've been doing throughout the time of Galus, which was hidden, will then be revealed. That's all in the avodah sabirurim. So what did a person do? There's the person, there's the object, and there's how a person goes about it. The object is something which in truth is godliness, but it has a cover over it. The person who's worked with himself in order to recognize the truth of godliness within himself and within the world around him, can now take the object and use it in order to serve Hashem, or not use it when Hashem doesn't want it to be used, and in this way reveal the reality of this object. That's all the regular avodah sabirurim. What's a nisayon? What's a test? What is the meaning of the word nisayon, test, or the concept of nisayon? Is, as we mentioned previously, it's something that doesn't really exist. Which means it needs a spark of godliness in it, otherwise even that false imagination wouldn't be able to be there. Everything needs a spark of godliness. But in the Nisayon, the spark of godliness has become chaticha nasis nevela. It became part of the opposite side. The spark itself became darkened. Which means that the entire existence is not a real existence. Now, how does a person know what's a nisayon, what's a test? Take Avraham Avinu. when he saw there's a river that its entire existence is just to stop him from doing what Hashem wants. There's nothing positive about it other than stopping him from doing what Hashem wants. Take a piece of non-kosher meat, there's something positive about it. It could be used for positive things. For me, in this situation, it's negative. But the piece of meat itself is still an existence that has a godly spark that sustains it, and I'm going to reveal that godly spark by not using it for the wrong thing. But its existence still exists. Something that its entire existence is nothing else other than stopping me from serving Hashem or going against what Hashem really wants. And that's the existence that specifically in the end of the Galus, when we've refined, when we got to the bottom of things, then it's about revealing the reality of the world, that the reality of the world is Hashem, even in those things that seems to be their entire existence is to go against what the Torah says, to go against the reality and the truth of the Torah. And that's something which we're going to, Mitzvah Hashem, continue to learn, but that idea is therefore, in order for a person to do that, he has to reveal it himself. He can't be dealing with the object because the object doesn't exist. The falsehood of the object is there in order to enable me to reveal within myself a stronger power of realizing the truth that everything is Hashem. It's not there in order to fight it, in order to use the object, because I can't use the object. I can't even go into discussion, so to speak, with the object, because the object doesn't exist. I have to rather reveal within myself the courage and reveal within myself the power of truth, and that elevates me also at the same time to a higher level with which to get the last Avodah and bring the revelation of Mashiach.